Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Assassin's Creed Origins, played on PS4 for the review, also available on Xbox One and PC. Ubisoft decided to take a year off from a main series Assassin's Creed game, and in the meantime decided to go back to the beginning of it all. Origins takes us back to ancient Egypt, in the time after Alexander the Great's conquest and death, and one of his generals, Ptolemy of Lagos, became pharaoh. The majority of the game is spent as Bayek of Siwa, a Magi who watched his son be murdered by a man in a mask. It's here we see the first roots of the Assassin's Guild, also known as the Hidden, as well as the Templars, who first came into existence simply being called the Order. Assassin's Creed Origins strays a bit from the usual Assassin's Creed open-world mission-based progression stealth action genre. After spending a couple hours with the game, you can start to see that it shares a little more in common with recent games like The Witcher 3 and Horizon Zero Dawn than previous Assassin's Creeds. While you can still sneak and quietly kill your targets, and it's often the easier path, there's less emphasis on it, taking away the usual memory sync percentages from mission side objectives, including detection, but I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself. Origins is an open-world, third-person, action role-playing game. You can venture out across a giant Egypt with nothing stopping your progression. World zones are marked with suggested level requirements for exploration, meaning the foes you encounter could most definitely stop you. As you roam the land, you'll come across various icons marking quests, locations, and vendors. Quests, instead of always immediately starting a mission like previous Assassin's Creed games, adds to a quest log with suggested levels for each piece of content. There are a multitude of side quests in addition to the game's campaign that have you helping citizens, killing soldiers, bandits, and wild animals, or exploring the depths of ancient pyramids. There are tons of locations that initially show up as question marks on your map, and as you get closer they'll resolve into a treasure-seeking opportunity, an enemy encampment, or sometimes both. You get experience points for completing all of the objectives in a location, easily seen by clicking and holding the left stick. Now, the traditional see targets through everything eagle vision is gone in this installment, or rather by lore not developed yet, and instead you get the actual vision of an eagle through Bayek's pet eagle, Senu, switched to at nearly any time by hitting up on the D-pad. Time will still pass for Bayek while you're flying around, so you have to make sure you're someplace safe, but if an enemy does discover you, you will return to controlling Bayek. Senu's vision reticle will change when you're close to targeting a main or side objective in that location, marked in yellow or white respectively. When these icons are revealed, they will appear in Bayek's vision also, but you can also set one marker at a time as Senu, which makes a more easily followable waypoint. In addition to location completion, completing quests and killing enemies will also grant experience points. There aren't any visible numbers to show you really how leveling changes your basic stats. In fact, your melee damage, range damage, health, and armor are modified by crafting updates to Bayek's base equipment. You get soft leather from hunting a subset of creatures in the wild, hard leather from crocodiles and hippos, and pelts from lions and leopards. Wood, bronze, and iron can be found by breaking down old gear, finding it in chests. Crystals are most often gathered as special treasures in military encampments, and using combinations of all these items will increase Bayek's power. Leveling also gives you skill points to invest into 3 skill trees, Warrior, Hunter, and Seer. The trees contain fairly standard fare for an Assassin's Creed game, giving you access to tools like fire bombs and sleep darts, adding additional melee moves and damage, and giving bonuses to range capabilities. Bayek can equip several different types of melee weapons, from basic swords to curved swords to heavy blades and maces. Each category has advantages and disadvantages, and all are actually pretty easy to use. R1 will do a light attack and combos of them with repeated pressing, while R2 will do a bigger hit. You can open up skills on the 3 to charge your R2 move to help break enemies using a shield, and a flurry attack with some knockdown power on the R1 button. You can use L1 to block with a shield equipped, and you can add a counter attack via skill tree with a perfectly timed button press to get bonus damage. There are multiple types of bows Bayek can use as well with different attack methods, like the Hunter bow letting you hold the button to charge it for more power, or the Predator bow that functions as a sort of sniper. Bayek keeps an easily replenishable quiver, giving a bigger spotlight to range damage than we've previously seen in an Assassin's Creed game. Weapons come with a quality level, with no other real insight into the numbers powering it. It just always seemed like quality level up equals good. Each piece also has a colored rarity, blue common, purple rare, and yellow legendary, with rares and legendaries having built-in bonuses, like the mute bow not making a sound while arrows fly, even if you miss, or a sword that adds fire damage. You'll get quite the influx of loot from treasure chests and enemies, and seem to constantly be receiving upgrades at a good pace. The ones that aren't upgrades can be broken down from the previously mentioned materials. When you find weapons you like, you can pay the smith to upgrade them to a higher quality level. You can also change your outfit for aesthetic reasons, and you can also purchase and summon mounts like camels, horses, and chariots. You start the game with a basic mount, but you can buy others from stables you find and also receive some as rewards. As always, Assassin's Creed presents an abundance of side content. and on top of the location finding and side quests, you can find papyrus scrolls in some locations as a completion requirement. These scrolls will give a little bit of text that describe a place where a treasure will be hidden. Now, the first 2 treasures I found with these, I accidentally discovered them without even reading the text, just in normal gameplay walking around, which I found kind of hilarious. But there are quite a few of these scrolls. Next, there's a small boy that leads a caravan from city to city, and every day he will have a quest of some sort that must be completed within a time limit. As a reward, I often got a purple piece of gear from him, and even once a yellow. Currently, the only source of multiplayer I saw was a sort of asynchronous multiplayer where if someone dies, their body will kind of materialize into your world. You then can get a quest to avenge PSN username, which will mark the nearby targets that killed them, rewarding you some experience. Of course, the series staple synchronization points are present, revealing some map locations, and also leveling Sinu's perception stat. A series of named bounty hunters roam the land called Falakis, and at first encounter you'll probably be way under-leveled. Defeating them all has its rewards though. There are also stone circles at certain locations where you align patterns to the stars, and there's also statues of Ptolemy to break down. There's chariot racing and gladiator-style events you can participate in as well. In other words, this game is bursting with content. I began the game completing every question mark location I could find and completing all side quests. Then I started to notice that when I explored the locations first, side quests I later embarked on were sending me back to those, which ended up making me less apt to continue hitting them all. In addition, while completing all this content, I started getting too high of a level for the quest content I was encountering, making it just a bit too easy. I ended up hitting the max level of 40 on the last main mission of the game, and my foes were all around level 35. The good side of this, Ubisoft enabled, was to let your experience bar keep filling up and awarding you with skill points even though you don't advance past level 40. By the time you hit 40, you couldn't have quite completed all of the skill tree nodes, and the final node in each tree can have multiple points applied, increasing ranged, melee, and tool damage by 1% every point. A lot of games in this genre take away that experience reward when max level, so this was a great move on Ubisoft's part. For the most part, the breadcrumbs left to help you go from area to area for main quests are pretty well done. But when I finished the game's main story, I still had 7 or 8 entire zones that I hadn't entered yet, which seemed a little bit odd. One mechanic Origins draws from the games in the genre, including Witcher 3, Horizon Zero Dawn, and even Batman Arkham Knight, is the investigation areas. Some quests will lead you to a location where Bayek has to deduct what's happening, and you as a player have to find those investigation points. There's no focus mode or detective mode or anything, but you will see an eye pop up on key places. Now, I did find the stealth in this game a bit more difficult to pull off continuously. While hiding around corners or in bushes, you can whistle to attract opponents like previous games. But in other Assassin's Creed games, as I recall, when you do a corner assassination, onlookers from the direction your prey is walking didn't seem to used to see you, but now they do. You can get a blade throw double assassination for a second target that's in range through the skill tree, but often they detect me and raise an alarm as well before they were finished. Most locations have a brazier also that serves as an alarm that calls for reinforcements if you don't stop the guy running for it soon enough. Now, I did play Assassin's Creed Origin on a PS4 Pro in 1080p. Even in 1080, this game looks absolutely remarkable. The Greek and Egyptian architecture, the pyramids, the mountains, the deserts, and just the way everything looks when being underwater is incredible. Characters still aren't the most attractive and most look pretty dead in the eyes, but a lot of games haven't reached a good human standard yet. The musical score moves between some Arabian-sounding tunes to a bit of sci-fi synth that somehow still feels appropriate. Overall, in presentation, the game is fantastic. I still have to laugh at their cutscenes in these games though, because they allow the NPCs in the area to keep performing their routines, and you can often see them in the background to humorous results. This guy, for example, couldn't stop spinning his bow, had a weird pileup of people going through each other, had some wagon wheels that wouldn't stop turning while stationary, and that stuff just makes me giggle. Also, yes, the modern-day real-world stuff is back in a minor way, but it appears as though they're shaping it to actually start doing something with it again. Here's hoping. If you're looking for your usual stealth action, mission progression, open world game you're used to with Assassin's Creed, you won't quite find the same experience here. Origins takes the open world action role-playing game perspective, breathing a bit of fresh air into the series. It has competent, if sometimes a bit repetitive combat, a ton of side content, an amazing, huge world to explore, beautiful environmental graphics, a bit less so with the people, some fun ties and discoveries about this long-running series, good weapon selection with craftable upgrades, skill trees that have some fun nodes that you want to complete but don't necessarily eagerly await the next skill point, good side quest content, and a variety of other side content that can get a bit monotonous in its goal variety, and an adequate main campaign story that kept me interested. Rated as an action RPG, Assassin's Creed Origins hits an 86 out of 100 on a true 1 to 100 scale, with 50 being average. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Trying to keep up with all these games feels impossible sometimes, but subscribe to the channel for notifications as I try, or follow me on Twitter @Umbra Games.